own yourself first. So we're talking about building yourself a system essentially that's going to replace your income. So over time, you want to think of yourself like a CEO of your own company. You want to think of yourself like a business. So I'm going to give you an illustrated diagram of what I mean by that. And you've got a number of things that you can use as different forms of income. So let's start off. So the market moves up and down like that. So over time, markets move up. It's in nature, markets move up over time over nature. We use nature as an example of an investing system, but using synergies, and people are always going to have new problems. So there's always new businesses that are going to come and evolve. The businesses that are prominent today, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, no one had even heard of these 20 years ago. They weren't even conceived in the mind of the founders. So the next 20 years, there's going to be companies that we don't even think about, we don't even know about. But essentially, markets move up over time, especially if you rebalance, like we talk about in other videos later on. So right, the markets move up like that. So what you want to do, you want to know your number. So what number do you need to live on for the rest of your life? We talked before about having 600k. So once you have, and because that gives you £24,000 of income every year if you take 4% off that number. So right, then what the beauty of, once you hit that number, you can start dipping into that that number, and your pot will go down at that. But so you might live to 90, but you hit 65, then you can start using those assets to pay your income. And this creates, say this is your farmhouse. So what you need, so that's like your house. Think of it like your house, and what around your farmhouse also you have not just one income, you have a pension. So I think of a pension like a pig. I think of it like a piggy bank as a kid. So you put money into that pension. So there's 3 different types of pensions, and we'll talk about that in another video. But for this purposes, we're talking about defined contribution pensions. So you put money into a pot of money. That pot of money will get bigger. It's like a piggy bank as a child. So you would put that money in, and once you want to get that income, then you can essentially kill that pig. You can take 25% tax-free from, in the UK, you can take 25% tax-free cash when you retire. Then you can essentially live off the rest of this pot. Like every year you can take slices of income. Think of it like a Serrano ham. Like you can take, every year you can take money out of your piggy bank essentially every year. So then you don't just have one source of income. You can top up your ISA and buy shares, what I call golden geeses. So golden geeses are gonna, think of it like the fable where you'd have the geese and then that lay the golden eggs. So these geese, you buy shares, and then over time they will lay eggs. And with these eggs, you can either eat the eggs, these eggs are like the profit of the company, like what we call the dividends. So you can either eat the eggs, you can take that cash and go and spend it, or you can reinvest it. So you can, every time that a company pays you money, pays you a dividend, you can then reinvest that. So it's a bit like you getting chickens. Chickens lay eggs, and then you incubate these eggs, and they grow more chickens. And then over time, this can grow exponentially. Essentially, you reinvest these, and it doesn't even matter about the ups and downs of the market, because you're getting every 6 months or every year, you're getting new eggs essentially that you can reinvest. So they're your chickens. But with your chickens, I talk about your grain. So your grain is like, you have seeds to invest. So you can either eat the grain, like grain is like money. So you can either eat the grain, or you can feed your animals. So you can essentially, if you have 100 seeds, you can pay 10%, so £10 and buy more shares or buy more chickens, and that's going to grow quicker over time. So that's your seeds. You can also have today, so my drawings are terrible, but hopefully this gets the point across. So you can also have what people call a side hustle. So you can have an income. This is building additional streams of income. So for instance, I've got a video, so I sell these on Udemy, or I can sell these myself, and I create these in my own time, and people pay me for these videos, which is great. It's a form of income. So it's a bit like it's your own business. So a cash cow is like having your own business, and cows, they produce milk, or like cash cows, like they produce milk, or you can make cheese out of these businesses. So this is like an additional stream of income. And if a company grows big enough, you can essentially sell that company. So think of, I don't know, Microsoft or Facebook was built in Mark Zuckerberg's dorm room. That grew so big that then he sold part of that as shares to other people, and people can go and buy those shares. So it's a bit like having a cow. Like a cow, if you get a number of cows, you can go and sell that cow to market, and it's not just the cash from it. It's not just income. It's not just the cheese and milk. To continue that analogy, you can build up a business and then sell that business, and that could form part of your retirement. So this may be a bit of a bizarre way to explain it, but it's to picture it in your mind that it's not just, I'm trying to get out of the old retirement model. Today we live in an amazing time. It's with a pension, they call them pension freedoms. There's so much stuff you can do today that people aren't aware of. I'm just trying to educate people so they can know more about this, so they can have a better life essentially. So yeah, just to sum up, so own yourself first. So think of yourself as a business. So think about, you want to be financially self-sufficient. So having your own farmyard that produce your own food, or your own, this is the analogy that I'm trying to get. So you can be being financially self-sufficient, that you're not reliant on a pension, or you're not reliant on one source of income when you retire. You can have many, so you can have buy a house, and that's your farmhouse. You can put money into a pension, which is really great tax efficiency. You can have shares like golden geese that provide you an income as well. So these are like the eggs of the golden geese. The grain is like the money. So another point we're going to talk about is inflation. So if you just keep your grain in a barnyard somewhere, that's going to rot. If you have 100 bits of seed, inflation's at 3% at the moment, so 3% of your grain is going to rot, or it's going to disappear. Maybe the rats are nibbling it. But just to get this analogy across, so you need to make your money work for you. So don't just sit on grain, don't just sit on money, don't just sit with money in a bank, because you're getting next to nothing on your interest. You can start feeding chickens, or when I say feeding chickens, this is buying shares. You can top up your pension. So in the UK, you have 40,000 annual allowance, and you get really great tax efficiencies on that. And we'll cover that in another topic. But yeah, just so the point of it is, own yourself first, becomes financially self-sufficient, and make your money work for you.